Hey, it's Elizabeth Schneider with Weekly Tasting. Thanks so much for getting this Thanksgiving's Perfect Pairs pack. And look, Thanksgiving is awesome. It's a time when we get together with our families and friends and we express our gratitude for each other and for all the great things we have in our lives. But we know it's not always easy on this day of thanks. We know conflict can arise, but what we also know is that the conflict this year is not gonna be between wine and food because we've got you covered. We are gonna take the guesswork out of pairing. There's complexity on the table. There's sweet, there's creamy, there's salty, there's savory. Well, we've got a perfect solution. Part of that is having options for your Thanksgiving meal. We have a Vouvray from the Loire Valley, really high acidity, but still creamy and cheek coating, lovely kind of mineral aromatics, gonna go so well with everything from greens to soups, turkey, the fixings. That might be your MVP. My favorite wine, the Côte d'Aron Blanc Village. This wine is full and rich, especially for a white. It's got lemon custard notes, sweet cream. It is really cheek coating and full for a white, but it has enough acidity to keep it fresh and to cut through those butter-laden dishes that are on the table. Finally, in the red category, we've got a Beaujolais, and this is a Cru Beaujolais from one of the 10 best communes. This is really important because it's very hard to do reds for Thanksgiving, but we have found one that has lower tannin, good acidity, so that's gonna go really well with a lot of the things on your table. And it's got a mild flavor, but still really delicious. It's super versatile. And finally, listen, after 7 years of hosting the Wine for Normal People podcast and asking people, what are your biggest Thanksgiving challenges? A lot of people say, we can't find anything to pair with our alternative Thanksgiving feast because we are not just doing the traditional thing. We're gonna do some Italian American food. We're gonna do some richer foods. That's what this Primitivo is in here for. This is for if you're gonna do surf and turf. This is a turf wine. It's for lasagna, for eggplant parm. If you're gonna do an alternative Thanksgiving, this is a great wine for you. I hope this pack takes the pressure off of food and wine pairing for you so you can concentrate on what's really important, spending time with your friends and family and loved ones. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's get to tasting. The Tenute Rubino Punta Aquila Primitivo 2013 is in this pack, not because it pairs with Thanksgiving food. Because I've been the host of the Wine for Normal People podcast for 7 years, and every year I ask, okay, give me your hardest challenges for Thanksgiving, give me what you're having, and I will tell you what wine you should have. And I am telling you, this growing trend has come where people are having a lot of Italian food for Thanksgiving. They're eschewing the normal kind of traditional Thanksgiving, or they're having some of the sides that they like, and then they're having lasagna or eggplant parmesan or pasta with marinara and bolognese or meatballs, Italian meatballs, even Swedish meatballs sometimes. And that is what this wine goes with. So this is for the alternative Thanksgiving people, or if you're gonna have pizza the day after Thanksgiving because you just can't have any more leftovers. So this is a Primitivo. It's a Zinfandel. It's from Puglia, which is the heel of Italy's boot. Unbelievably tasty wine. Let's take a look at the color. It's kind of dark in the center. It's like the polar opposite of the Beaujolais, honestly. It's 14.5% alcohol, super thick legs. It's got really a very rich color, and let's give it a sniff. Super aromatic. This wine has blackberry, blackcurrant, wet soil. Let's taste it. So, full-bodied, spice, it's jammy, it's dark fruit, a little bit like a campfire, almost like a smoky marshmallow note is in this wine, and that's all from the oak, and the tannins are present. What I love about this wine is even though it's from a warmer area, it's really well balanced. It still has good mouthwatering acidity, which is gonna go well with all the tomato-based stuff that we talked about. And the tannin is there, but it's not overpowering. There's great balance in the wine. It's not over the top in fruit. Those structural elements of acidity and tannin are perfect. They keep the alcohol kind of in check too. There's a warm fullness to this wine that makes it an awesome alternative for the big meal. So if you're going for an Italian-American Thanksgiving, here's your pick. Reds are really tough for Thanksgiving because what you have are a lot of creamy, herbal, savory dishes, buttery. usually whites are gonna be much better with that kind of food. So it's easier to find whites than reds that can work with this. The reds that are gonna work are things that are light to medium bodied. They are gonna have higher acidity, lower mouth drying, mouth puckering tannin, and they can be aromatic but not overly so. So enter Beaujolais, specifically the domain Jean-Michel Dupré from Rémy, which is one of the 10 better communes of Beaujolais. This is not Nouveau, this is really high class stuff made from the Gamay grape. Absolutely delicious, better terroir and very unique flavors. It's gonna go with the gravy from the mashed potatoes. It'll go with the turkey prepared anyway, cranberry relish, glazed carrots, your pâtés and creamy appetizers, that kind of thing. If you're doing a surf and turf, you could even have this with filet. Let's take a look at the color. It's such a classic, wonderful Cru Beaujolais, high quality again. Nice and dark in the center. It's a little bit of a raspberry color, beautiful color. Not very thick legs, not too much alcohol. It fits our criteria perfectly, and we're gonna give it a swirl and a sniff. So it's very fragrant, violets, earth, mushroom. It even has this kind of salty earth note that's almost like a beef stew when you first smell it. Just give it a second sniff if you don't smell that right away. Okay, let me take a taste. So it's medium bodied, mild tannin. It's got a perfect texture, and the flavors are much more classic. Strawberry, shortcake, kind of a strawberry and cream, floral, and a little bit of graham cracker there. That's kind of typical for me of Beaujolais, violets, that's all there. But the texture is so perfect. It hits on all the marks that we need. Lower tannin, higher acidity, very light or medium body. It's gonna go with nearly everything on your Thanksgiving table. Here's your red MVP. Have I got a wine for you? This is the Bernard Magres Le Prélat Côte d'Aron Blanc Village from the small little village of Landon. It's a 2014. Bernard Magres owns properties all over the world and invested in this really small area because of the potential for its whites. And it is known really to be like a mini Chateauneuf de Pape Blanc. I know a lot of people say that, but this is actually really reminds me of that. If I could afford Chateauneuf de Pape Blanc, I would drink it all the time. I would drink it at Thanksgiving, but it's 5 times more expensive than this wine, and this tastes so much like it. It's fantastic. So it's in the pack because it is gonna add oomph to those butter-laden dishes that are on the Thanksgiving table. It's gonna go with mashed potatoes and gravy. It is going to go with roasted or fried turkey. It's gonna go with herbed stuffing, which is my favorite. A halibut or scallops if you decide to go that route. It is incredibly versatile. It's rich and full. Let's take a look. It's kind of a brassy color, much darker than the Vouvray. Grew up with a lot more warmth, and the grapes Viognier, Roussanne, Grenache Blanc, Claret Blanche have a little bit darker pigmented skins, and when they get with the juice, they're gonna impart some of that color. So that's where we get that color from. We're gonna give it a swirl and a sniff. Sweet grass and lemon custard, sweet cream minerals. It has this cream and citrus thing going on, and a tiny bit of decaying leaf smell, which brings us into fall. So lovely, Thanksgiving time of year. Let's taste it. Tastes similar to the aroma. That lemon cream note is there. Lots of minerals, sweet cream is there. That decaying leaf note is a little bit there, not so much, a little bit more on the aroma. But what is gonna make this so successful for your Thanksgiving is that it's got this mouth-coating creaminess. So it's complementary to some of those creamy dishes. It's sort of creamy in the back of my throat and down my cheeks, but then it has amazing acidity to break through some of that heaviness, some of that butter, and it's gonna keep the meal fresh. My MVP, love this wine, I think you will too. If you want an MVP, something that's gonna go with everything from appetizers, soups, salads, turkey and the fixings, everything that you can think of on your Thanksgiving table that's not sweet, that is the Domaine de Vagandie Sec, and it's a Vouvray. It's from the Loire, which is very far north, a cooler climate. 100% Chenin Blanc, which is a grape that's aromatic, super high in acidity, but still has this lovely cheek coating texture. It is so versatile. This is gonna go with mashed potatoes and creamy side dishes, turkey with stuffing. It can go with pork, it can go with shellfish and white fish if you decide to do fish instead of turkey. Cheddar or goat cheeses, This is gonna go with it all. So let's take a look at this unbelievable wine from a small producer. They do stainless steel fermentation just to make sure that the wine really preserves the fruit flavors from Chenin. And this is kind of a platinum color, very, very light, with just a little bit of straw around the edges. Cool climate, not a lot of color in those grapes that could seep into the wine. And we'll give it a spin around the glass and a sniff. Pear, mineral, mountain, stream, waterfall, all of those things that are so beautiful in this wine and very typical. A little bit of green apple too. Let's taste it. Green apple, fresh hay, minerals and pear, all of that is here. The wine is tart, but it's so typically Chenin Blanc because after that tartness, after that mouth-watering acidity, you get a round, cheek coating quality, and that is why this wine is the MVP for everything on the Thanksgiving table. Your guests are gonna be clamoring for more, I know it. So that's it. Those are our 4 Thanksgiving MVPs. They're gonna go so well with so many things on your table. Happy Thanksgiving from the Weekly Tasting to you, and I hope that you give us feedback on these wines and check back on Monday for the next available pack.